Hello everyone. In my previous video, I have explained the concept like a cost analysis and various types of cost, which is very important for running any type of business. And in this video, I will explain short run and long run cost curve. Okay, short run cost curve and long run cost curve. Okay. So first of all, it is very important to know which type of cost is necessary in short run. I mean to say there are some factors which can be easily adjusted with change in the level of output. Thus, a firm can readily employ more workers if it has to increase output. Similarly, it can purchase more raw material and if has to expand production. Such factors, which can be easily varied with a change in the level of output, are called variable factor. On the other hand, there are factors such as building, capital equipment, or top management team which cannot be so easily varied. It requires comparatively longer time to make change in them. It takes time to install new machinery. Similarly, it takes time to build a new factory. Such factors which cannot be readily varied and requires a longer period to adjust are called fixed factors. Corresponding to the distinction between variable and fixed factor, we distinguish between short run and long run period of time. In the short run, the level of usage of some inputs are fixed and cost associated with these fixed inputs must be incurred regardless of the level of output produced. Other costs do vary with the level of output produced by the firm during that time period. The sum total of all such costs, fixed and variable, explicit and implicit, in short run total cost. But for the sake of simplicity, we assume that all short run costs to fall into one of two categories, fixed and variable. That means we will discuss two main important costs. I am saying categorization of cost in short run is fixed and variable. Okay, so in this slide I am going to discuss short run total cost curve. I will explain all the cost like fixed and variable and related curve. So short run is a period of time in which output can be increased or decreased by changing only the amount of variable factor such as labor, raw material, etc. In the short run, quantities of fixed factor cannot be varied in accordance with change in output if the firm wants to increase output in the short run. It can do so only with the help of variable factor by using more labor and by buying more raw material. Thus, short run is a period of time in which only variable factor can be varied, while the quantities of fixed factor remain unaltered. I mean to say, long run is a period of time in which the quantities of all factors may be varied. Thus, all factors become variable in the long run. Thus, we find that fixed cost and those costs which are independent of output, they do not change in output. These costs are a fixed amount which is incurred by a firm in the short run, whether the output is small or long. Even if the firm closed down for some time in the short run but remains in business, These costs have to be borne by it. Fixed costs include such charges as contractual rent, insurance fee, maintenance cost, property taxes, and interest on capital employed, and manager's salary, watchman's wages, etc. Variable cost, on the other hand, are those costs which change with changes in output. These costs include payment such as wages of labor employed, price of raw material, you can say like fuel and power used, and transportation cost also. I mean to say, if a firm shuts down for a short period, then it may not use variable factors of production and will not therefore incur any variable cost. Now you can watch, you can see the formula of total cost, and you can see the graph which show total cost and which important cost incurred in total cost, like TC is equal to TFC plus TVC. This is the formula for short run total cost curve. Okay, short run total cost curve. But the formula of short run total cost is, I mean to say, total cost TC. TC is equal to TFC plus TVC. That means total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Because I have already told you, short run total cost incurred only two main costs, fixed cost and variable cost. So TC is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost, and the relation between the total fixed cost and total variable cost you can see in this graph. And what will be the impact? So you can see the figure, like total cost of a business is thus the sum of total variable cost and total fixed cost, or symbolically TC is equal to TFC plus TVC. We may also represent total cost, total variable cost and fixed cost. Okay. So in the diagram, total fixed cost curve is parallel to x-axis. Okay, you can see like a total fixed cost curve is parallel to x-axis. This curve is start from the point on the y-axis, meaning thereby that fixed cost will be incurred even if the output is 0. On the other hand, total variable cost curve rises upward, showing thereby that an output increase. Total variable cost also increases. This curve starts from the origin, which shows that when that output is 0, variable costs are also nil. The total cost curve has been obtained by adding vertically total fixed cost curve and total variable cost curve. Okay. So TC is equal to TFC plus TVC. The total fixed cost curve is a horizontal straight line. Total variable is the difference between total cost and fixed cost. The total variable cost curve starts from the origin because such cost varies with the level of output and hence are avoidable. Examples are electricity, traffic, wages and compensation of casual workers, cost of raw material, etc. So now I am going to explain short run average cost. Okay. First of all, it is very important to understand that like a short run total cost curve and short run average cost curve are totally different. I mean to say, it is very important to know what is the difference between total cost curve, short-run total cost curve and short-run average cost curve. So I have explained short-run total cost curve. Now I am going to explain short-run average cost. So please listen carefully to know that what is short-run average cost. Then I will explain short-run average cost curve. So first of all, I will explain short-run average cost. Okay. In the short run, the shape of the average total cost curve, that's mean ATC. ATC and AC having same meaning. And ATC is U-shaped. Okay, listen carefully. AC or ATC is U-shaped. The short run average cost curve falls in the beginning. Okay, listen carefully. Short run average cost curve falls in the beginning but reaches a minimum and then begins to rise. The reason for the average cost to fall in the beginning of production are that the fixed factor of a firm remain the same. The changes only takes place in the variable factor such as raw material, labor, etc. Okay. Short run average cost. The average cost help identify the expenditures involved in manufacturing a single unit. Short run average cost involve average fixed cost and average variable cost. So I mean to say that the formula of short run average cost is equal to, I mean to say ATC or AC is equal to AFC plus AVC. That's mean average cost is equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Okay. So it is very important to know if average cost is equal to AFC plus AVC. So what is AFC and what is AVC? Then we better understand what is the AC. So I am going to explain AFC, average fixed cost. Average fixed cost is the total fixed cost. Okay. AFC is the total fixed cost divided by the number of units of output produced. Okay, by the numbers of unit of output produced. So the formula of AFC is equal to TFC upon Q. TFC upon Q. Q means number of unit produced. Thus average fixed cost is the fixed cost per unit of output. Okay. I will take an example to understand this concept. Like a firm is producing with total fixed cost at 2000. Okay, please listen carefully. I am having an example to understand this concept. Like a firm is producing with total fixed cost at 2000 rupees. But when output is 100 units, average fixed cost 2000 upon 100, that means 20. I mean to say average fixed cost will be 20 rupees. And now if the output increases 100 to 200 units, average fixed cost will be 10. Okay, understand? Since total fixed cost will steadily falls as output increases. Therefore, we draw average fixed cost curve. It will slope downwards throughout its length, but now touch the x-axis as AFC cannot be 0. Okay, now I will explain average variable cost. Average variable cost is the total variable cost by the number of units of output produced. That means the formula of AVC is equal to TVC upon Q. TVC upon Q, number of units produced. Thus, average variable cost is variable cost per unit of output. average variable cost normally falls as output increases from 0 to normal capacity output due to occurrence of increasing return. But beyond the normal capacity output, average variable cost will rise steeply because of the operation of diminishing return. 9. The concept of increasing return and diminishing return have already been discussed earlier. If we draw average variable cost curve, it will first fall, then reach a minimum, then rise again. Okay. So, short and average cost, I have explained what is AFC and what is AVC. So, AC is equal to AFC plus AVC. AC or ATC having similar meaning. So, the average total cost is the sum of the average variable cost and average fixed cost. That's we can say that ATC is equal to AFC plus AVC. In the other words, it is the total cost divided by the number of unit produced. You can see the diagram and the formula in this slide. Formula, I have explained the relations between AFC and AVC. So, ATC is equal to AFC plus AVC, and now you can see this diagram. I have already told you AFC falls. AFC falls as production rise, but AVC starting point it falls, but then it and reach a minimum point, then rise again. So, average total cost is a sum of average variable cost and average fixed cost. It is the total cost divided by the number of units produced. The behavior of average total cost curve depends upon the behavior of average variable cost and average fixed cost. In the beginning, both AVC and AFC curve falls. You can watch the you can see clearly. Please focus on this diagram, and now I will explain the concept of this diagram. In the beginning, both AVC and AFC curves fall. Therefore, the ATC curve will also fall sharply in the beginning when AVC curve begin to rise, but AFC curve still falls. ATC curve continues to fall. This is because during this stage the fall in AFC curve is greater than the rise in the AVC curve. But as output increases further, there is a sharp rise in AVC which more than offsets the fall in AFC. Therefore, ATC curve first fall, reach its minimum and then rises. Thus, the average total cost curve is U-shaped curve. Okay. So, you can see that the total short run cost. In the first row, you can see that unit of output, that's mean Q. Number of units produced 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I mean to say this figure, this table shows the 6 unit production. Then total fixed cost. Total fixed cost is equal to total variable cost and total fixed cost. So, in the second row, you can see total fixed cost and total variable cost. Total fixed cost always same. number of units produced, but the fixed cost when the production is 0, if the cost is 1000, but when production reaches 20, 60, 80, but total fixed cost will be same. But total variable cost vary as per the production. And next row you can see total cost. Total cost is the sum of total fixed cost and total variable cost. Then average fixed cost. Average fixed cost is the sum of total variable cost and average fixed cost and average variable cost. Average fixed cost is equal to total fixed cost upon number of unit produced, and AVC is equal to TVC upon Q, and ATC is equal to AFC plus AVC. So this is the structure of total cost in short run. Now I am going to explain long run cost curve. Long run cost curve means the time period. Okay, it's focus on time period during which all the factors of production are variable. A firm can change its level of productions as well as the scale of production during this period. If the demand for the products of a firm increases, the firm can expand its existing production capacity and establish a new plant also. If the demand for the products of a firm decreases, the firm can curtail its existing production capacity and divert its production capacity to the production of other commodity also. Since all the factors of production are variable during the period, all the costs are also variable during this period. Okay, so the long run refers to that time period for a firm where it can vary all the factors of production. Long run consists of variable inputs only, and the concepts of fixed input does not arise. The firm can increase the size of the plant in the long run. Thus, you can well imagine no difference between long run variable cost and long run total cost, since fixed costs do not exist in long run. So in this slide I am going to explain long run cost curve. Long run total cost, I will explain long run total cost and long run average cost. Long run total cost refers to the minimum cost of production. It is the least cost of producing a given level of output. Thus it can be less than or equal to the short run average cost at different level of output, but never greater. But long run average cost curve can be defined as the average of the LTC curve or the cost per unit of output in the long run. It can be calculated by the division of LTC by the quantity of output. Graphically, LAC can be derived from the short run average cost curve. Okay, so I mean to say only two types of cost exist in long run: average total cost and marginal cost. Long run cost of production means the minimum cost of production of a particular commodity. Long run cost curve establishes functional relationship between production and long run cost of production. Shape of long run cost curve is generally U, like short run cost curve. Long run cost curve is comparatively more flat. Okay, now I am going to discuss derivation of long run average cost curve. Okay, so you can see the derivation of long run average cost curve. Long run average cost means total long run cost divided by the number of units produced. Long run average cost illustrated minimum long run average cost at different level of production. It can be illustrated with the help of following diagram. You can see carefully. In long run, please try to understand this diagram. I am going to explain. In long run, a firm can change the size of its plant. It can choose any size of plant according to its requirement. Therefore, the number of plants as well as the number of SACs is infinite in long run. In such cases, long run average cost curve, that's mean LAC, will be regular and smooth. It can be explained with the help of following diagram. In above I mean to say SAC, long run average cost curve having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 short run average cost curve. You can see small SAC, small curve. Small curve and LAC is the like envelope. Each SAC curve corresponds to a particular plant size. This size is fixed, but what can vary is the variable input in the short run. In the long run, the firm will select that plant size which can minimize cost for a given level of output. Okay, so quantity of production has been presented on x-axis and average cost has been presented on y-axis. SAC 1, 2, 3 like 7. Okay, so a curve is drawn in the manner that it is tangent to each of the short run average cost curve. This curve is known as long run average cost curve, LAC. The firm will have to select a particular point on LAC for production. If the firm want to produce OM1, understand what is the reason behind this. So if I am having one example to understand this concept. If the firm want to produce OM1 quantity, it must select SAC2 and its average cost will be AM1. To produce OM2 quantity, the firm will select SAC3 and its average cost will be BM2. To produce OM3 quantity, the firm will select SAC4 and its average cost will be CM3. To produce OM4 quantity, the firm will select SAC5. So, and its average cost will be OM4 is the minimum cost of production. The firm must select SAC4 and produce OM3 quantity. It will be the optimum point of production. And OM3 will be the optimum cost of production. Optimum cost of production. That is, this is the derivation of LAC curve. Okay, you can see that till the OM1 level of output, it is the logical for the firm to operate at the plant size represented by SAC2. So I think you understand. So I am going to wind up. I am going to conclude this concept. Thus the choice in the long run is to produce at that plant size that can minimize cost. Graphically, this gives us a LAC curve that joins the minimum point of all possible SAC curve as shown in the figure. Thus, the LAC curve is also called an envelope curve. Okay, please listen carefully. I am saying LAC curve that join the minimum point of all possible SAC curve as shown in this figure. Thus, the LAC curve is also called an envelope curve or a planning curve. The curve first fall, reaching a minimum and then rises, giving it a U shape. That is why I am saying it's an envelope, because it's having all types of SAC curve, and we choose which will be the best curve for the production for long run. Okay, so I am going to wind up this video, because I have completed the short run cost curve and the long run cost curve. Short run cost curve, short run total cost curve, and short run average cost curve, and long run cost curve, total cost and average cost both. So it's completed. So thank you everyone.